Welcome. In this video, we'll explore the deep-rooted history of the Iran-Israel struggle, detail the latest escalations up to June 22, 2025, and uncover how this fits into the wider turmoil across the Middle East. Let's dive into the historical context. The Islamic Revolution in 1979 marked Iran's shift from the pro-West Shah to an anti-Israel Islamic Republic, setting the stage for ongoing tensions. Tehran, never recognizing Israel, has supported groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iraqi militias to challenge Israeli influence. And of course, Iran's nuclear ambitions have always been a point of contention, prompting Israeli concerns and preemptive cyber and military strikes. Moving on to recent flashpoints in the timeline of events. In October 2024, Operation True Promise 2 saw around 200 Iranian missiles hit Israel in retaliation for covert assassinations. Fast forward to May 4, 2025, Yemen-based Houthis launched a missile at Tel Aviv airport, escalating regional spillover. Then, on June 13, 2025, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, striking Iranian nuclear and military installations including Tehran, Natanz, and Isfahan. Mossad-led covert drone sabotage preceded the bombing. Just a few days later, on June 16th and 17th, heavy Iranian missile and drone barrages struck Israeli cities like Tel Aviv, Haifa, and Beersheba, including a hit on Soroka Hospital, injuring over 50 and sparking war crime accusations. By June 19th, Iran's Sejil missile hit Soroka Hospital, raising international alarm. Finally, on June 21st and 22nd, Israel launched a second large-scale strike on Isfahan's nuclear facility. The U.S. deployed B-2 bombers to Guam and launched Operation Midnight Hammer, targeting Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, while Iran responded with missiles and drones. Now let's address the scale of the conflict and its human cost. Since June 13th, over 224 Iranians and 24 Israelis have been killed, alongside significant devastation to hospital, energy, and military infrastructure. Following Israeli air raids, hundreds of thousands fled Tehran toward northern provinces. The targeting of civilian buildings, from hospitals to state TV, has drawn accusations of war crimes from the UN, ICC, and various NGOs. So, zooming out, let's take a look at the wider Middle Eastern landscape. In Syria, Iran's military entrenchment, it keeps inviting frequent Israeli airstrikes. Over in Lebanon, even though Hezbollah's missile stock has been weakened, it still poses a real menace to northern Israel. Meanwhile in Yemen, those Houthi attacks are really just another sign of Iran-backed spillover across the region. In the United States, direct military action is raising the stakes, but there's also a lot of internal division about whether to push further. Russia and China, for their part, are pretty vocal critics of Western strikes, and they're pushing for de-escalation. On the other hand, Europe and the United Nations are urging diplomacy, especially as civilian tolls rise and oil market disruptions get worse. And of course, the region's sectarian undercurrents, the Sunni-Shia divide, are still fueling much of the proxy warfare, though interestingly, new threats like Gulf cooperation are starting to emerge. Now, when we think about global stakes and risks, the picture gets even more complicated. Threats to the Strait of Hormuz, for example, really put the world at risk of sudden oil price shocks. There's also the nuclear danger. Strikes on enriched uranium sites could, provoke serious radiological fallout. With all this escalation, there's a real risk of creating a vacuum that could enable extremist groups to resurge. And honestly, the economic and humanitarian fallout is massive. We're talking about huge displacements and infrastructure that's just crippled, all of which threaten the stability of the entire region. So what comes next? Well, there are a couple of possible paths. European mediation and renewed US-Iran nuclear talks might just, maybe, offer the only real path to de-escalation. Otherwise, we're probably looking at a continued strategy of targeted airstrikes and proxy responses. But the worst-case scenario? That would be a much broader war involving global powers, regional collapse, and honestly, nuclear brinksmanship. The Iran-Israel war, which was once kind of a shadowy proxy booth, has now erupted into a direct tit-for-tat state conflict. Its impact goes way beyond just two nations. It threatens global peace, energy security, and countless human lives. Whether the world moves toward diplomacy or sinks deeper into conflict really depends on the next moves leaders make, and honestly, on the voices we all raise. If this breakdown helped you, hit like, subscribe, and tap the bell to stay updated. And hey, share your thoughts. Do you see diplomacy actually emerging, or is the region heading toward war? Comment below.